Good morning, everybody. This is Tikoy, also known as Richard. And today we're going to be finally starting with a new faction called the Holy Roman Empire. We're going to be deep diving into everything that you need to know about them if you were curious about playing them. Very important points that you need to note, especially where you pick up the relics, how to boom properly with them, how to defend with them, and what you need to look out for to actually make this faction very viable. I started with the French. We did a whole 2022 video series of French if you want to go check that out. But also, we will be deep diving into every single faction to also learn for ourselves. Because, I'm no super pro player top 5%, but we do learn from them and make videos that's relevant on the same level to actually make sure that you win games on the intermediate level and know what to expect. Because once things go crazy with all the key bindings and microing and macroing, especially into the mid and late game, it gets very difficult to keep on top of everything. But let's go to the homepage and start off from the basics and go into the Holy Roman Empire here. So there's three main points that I would like to just point out to you guys here. Their build order is a little bit different, and I would say it is probably the best intermediate faction that you can pick up and learn how to play because you tend to play a lot more defensive to get a very big economy boom and use that advantages with your upgrades to then overpower the enemy with the once off all in, 100 horsemen or whatever army. But the three main things is the Holy Roman Empire is probably one of the civilizations that is the biggest booming that I've ever played myself. I really enjoy that. I like seeing how quick and how comfortable you can get with that, 10-minute castle age while still being able to have a few units to defend yourself, right? So the first point is the prelates. As you can see here, we're looking at the prelates. Now, the prelates, you can start immediately training out of the town center. It's a support unit with no combat capability. It automatically inspires villagers to greatly improve their gathering rate. So basically, they improve the gathering rate by about 40% for your villagers. So your initial start for them, and we'll show you guys a demonstration shortly after discussing this, would be to take your 6 villagers, put them on sheep, and instead of training a scout of villagers out of your town center, you first start with the prelates and then more villagers. And then you use those inspired villagers to move over to gold. And that's how you then trickle in your gold. You do lose the 100 gold that you see the cost there at the bottom. Um, from making that in the early game. So you have a tendency to be a little slow on your feudal age if you don't manage it correctly. So just take note of that because it can cost you a game if you, for argument's sake, play against the English, you get a very late feudal age and end up with a very, very difficult time where he's overpowering you with a lot of archers and you haven't had anything to prepare against him. Sorry about any background noise there. I think there was a helicopter flying over the city. I apologize. Just a bit of background noise there. Okay, so the second thing I want you guys to take note of, the prelates can also um, pick up relics and they can convert units by holding the relics, obviously. But at the same time, you can use the prelates to capture sacred sites, right? Now, this is where the juicy part of their build comes in. When you start with an Archon Chapel or an Archon Chapel, depending on how you would like to pronounce it, I say the Archon Chapel. Um, your first prelate usually goes into this, so take care on where you place the Archon Chapel because the ring has an area of effect, and the prelate that's inside that building will actually then make sure that all the villagers in that area stays inspired and gets, like you see here on the side, that provides Holy Spirit inspiration to villagers, making them work 40% faster for 30 seconds, but that's permanent when they are inside that ring, especially when you are progressing over to like food or something like that in the late game, placing a few mills around this landmark and then having enough space to actually place your farms within this will greatly increase your farms and allow you to use less villagers for a much better outcome of resources. Okay, so that's the one. The other thing is we'll get into the deep unit specific rushes. Like they have these Langanids that are also very strong, very light infantry. It's like a horseman type of damage with AOE like a Mangonel, but it's an infantry unit. So, they do have their place in the game. I still don't know exactly how to use them properly, but a few of them inside your team comms does do a lot of damage. So don't sleep on not training them. They are very important. Um, Okay, and then the last thing is for Holy Roman Empire, what I've noticed is there's basically a split when it comes to your third age. So your third age, you can go for the Burgrave Palace. That acts as a barracks that produces infantry at five of infantry at a time, which is really, really nice because if you, let's say you've rushed Castle Age, and I had a game like this on King of the Hill. I only had this as a unit producing building, a military producing building, and that was enough to keep up with men at arms against any, he raided with horsemen and with archers, which necessarily would, put you at a very big disadvantage. And he did it two or three times, and I didn't have any military buildings, just focused on booming, and ended up with a very big lead, and obviously ending winning at the end, winning the game, right? So personally, I think it's a very unique, strong landmark if you have specific scenarios where you'll know when you need to use this. But 99% of the time, you're probably going to go with the Regnitz Cathedral. Now, when you play with those the what do you call it, prelates in the early game, right? Those prelates are going to be able to come and drop off relics that you find on the map, and that's going to produce 200% gold every minute. Now, from what I understand, is they produce 100 gold per minute. Now, if you put them inside the Rednet Cathedral, they produce 200% more, so that would be 300 gold per minute on every individual relic, right? So if you put three relics in, that's already 1,200 gold per minute. And then let's say you get the other two relics. The nice thing that not a lot of people know, that's also very specific to them, your relics can be placed inside outposts, inside keeps, and town centers to generate gold, improve their sight range, weapon range, armor, and damage. So let's say you pick up an early relic in your castle age because you rushed castle age, and you take that relic and you put it inside your town center. That town center would then essentially be a much better defense landmark than it necessarily was in the beginning, right? Your docks can hold relic and increase their attack speed of all ships by 5% in that vicinity, up to a maximum of 25%. I'd like to see water maps where you just play very defensively with a few hulks, sitting inside the dock area as defense, but you have this little buff working for them just because of the relic inside the dock. So take note of that as well. And the damage inside the outposts and stuff is a very nice way to rush. I think once you get into the castle age, you can even use that to take your prelate with a relic forward and use that extra weapon range and armor on that building while you are like tower rushing or ram rushing, because you have that extra defense just hovering in the background of your units, right? Okay, so that's basically the gist of it. You boom very quickly, meaning you gain a lot of resources, gold, stone, wood, a lot quicker than most people would, right? But the second thing is your units are quite strong in themselves, and they tend to play a lot more with their barracks. So you get the very early men at arms that you can use to rush in the feudal age, and then as soon as you go into the castle age, that's when the heavy upgrades comes in, and that's when they start getting really scary because you already have the veteran spearmen, you have the men at arms, level 3. You have the heavy maces, that's an upgrade for your men at arms, so they can deal better with things like cavalry or your what do you call it, your archers, not your crossbowmen, right? So if you have any men at arms with this upgrade, with that mace upgrade, they're going to do very heavy damage against heavy targets by extra 6. So that's also probably quite strong against something like your war elephants, because that's considered a heavy unit. It's not considered, it's a heavy cavalry unit. So, your veteran spearmen will obviously still do more damage. But if you have the men at arms with that extra health that they have over the veteran spearmen, your men at arms are really going to do good in those type of scenarios. And then you can fill your composition with like crossbowmen or spearmen or a few landgannets to just make sure your damage overall is quite nice. Now, what you'll also find specifically when you hit the castle edge is for some reason when you look down, you'll find that your gold is skyrocketing. So make sure that you have a good wood investment early on with them, because you can then get the spearmen out, and then you can also focus on getting your battering rams out if you're rushing, or even on the stable, the horsemen are really good, specifically against factions like the Rus or the, what do you call it, the English, because they counter the archers, and you can fill that up with your own veteran archers. And because you'll have the gold advantage and pick up those relics, you'll actually get a very, very strong early composition to fight most fights. But with all that said, let's hop into the game. You can go read through a lot of these pointers and tips. I think the last, valuable point to make, um, and we'll do that in game as well. When you go for a Imperial Age landmark, above all else, probably in team games, the Elsbach Palace is really nice because it gives you that 50% health to keeps, and also 33% less damage that they take. But if you're in a disadvantage, that 33% won't win you a game. The Palace of Swabia produces villagers 75% faster and 75% cheaper, right? So let's say you rush Castle Age, Imperial Age, which you can get done these days under 15 minutes, right? And suddenly you're sitting with the Palace of Swabia, and your infantry or villager count spikes, right? Let's just go look at a quick example here um, in this match, right? We'll go to statistics, sorry, the overview timeline. We'll go to the villager count, right? So as soon as we hit that, you can see I'm the red one. As soon as we hit a very early Castle Age, from Castle Age we hit a very early Imperial Age, just over the 15-minute mark, so let's say 16 minutes. And from 16 minutes to 23 minutes, we increased our villager count by almost double. And the resource count of that is probably less than all of those villagers that we produced here for basically a double boom of villagers, right? So with 105 villagers, 30-40 villager lead over your enemy, you're really gonna, hit hard when you start investing that resources into your upgrades and your army. But let's have a look at this game specifically. We'll watch this specific replay to show you guys what we mean. It was against the French, so the French are known for rushing. Um, but personally, I am a French main right now because I've played them the most and practiced them the most. And I'm probably going to pick up them in the in the rank series. But the Holy Roman Empire is probably my second go-to if they, get banned. Okay, so let's look at the start here. 6 villagers on sheep, immediately a prelate into 4 villagers, and my scout I bound control 1, town center control 2, and then I'm just picking up the sheep, but what you'll notice is usually you'll send your sheep as close to the villagers as possible. In this scenario, you're not doing that. I'm forcing the villagers as soon as this carcass is done, right? That villagers or those villagers are going to move over to the sheep, because I'm probably going to have to think about where I'm going to place that first landmark, right? So we are looking at getting that first Archon Chapel, and you want to probably include a wood line if you can. Otherwise, you're probably going to include gold, stone, and your sheep that is right here. So when you go over into farms, you can actually um, use that to increase the production rate permanently of your villagers, right? Okay, so another thing that you need to know, the prelate is inspiring the villagers. Now their gathering rate is permanently more. If you just look here at the bottom, it's not going to stop at 10. I think it stops at 14 or 15. 14, yeah, 14. So they get that permanent upgrade and they work faster. So, a normal villager that's not inspired will not use that. But once they were inspired once, they don't need to be inspired again to get that bonus gathering rate up to 14, right? Even these gold villagers, you'll see now, because they've already been inspired, they won't stop at 10, they'll actually go to 14 because they've already been inspired, right? I'm inspiring them again because I'm kind of rushing into my gold production here because these villagers stay, inspired for about 30 seconds, while these ones are just being boosted so I can make sure that while they're being inspired, my gold is going as fast as possible with that increased working rate because of the inspiration, right? Okay, so we have our villagers as they're coming out, focusing primarily on the 3 to 4 on gold. I know most people say 3 is enough, that's fine. Um, and then you get up to 9 on your town center or the village production. So you have your prelate plus 9 villagers. You can see 7 on food, and then you start sending one by one over to wood. But don't send them directly over like this. That's useless because they're not inspired. So you lose 4, wood per trip that they do because they haven't gathered any wood. So we go heavy onto wood because we know it's the French. We probably want to defend with some spearmen. That's why we went for more wood. And then you just keep trickling in the food here. You can see already we're sitting on 460 food. If we jump over to the enemy, and his perspective, he has the 6 villagers on food. He didn't go to any gold, so not the right start for the French here. But the food is very, very low compared to what we have, and we are already starting to produce our second age landmark. Now I was speed building this with 5 villages because I did not know how aggressive or how strong he's gonna play. So we'll just speed that up a little bit, and you can see the Archon Chapel now. It includes the berries, it includes the little bit of the wood line. Probably a little bit down would have been a lot better, so I can get the backside of this wood as well. But because I didn't push it down, I lose that out later on because the ring just stops with this first 5 trees, and then I lose the benefit. So you can see they are inspired right now, but or they will get inspired as soon as this Archon Chapel is up, because as soon as the Archon Chapel is up, you take a prelate, you put it inside, and now all these villagers inside are getting that bonus, right? Yes, they move into this, so you can do long distance shopping, but you kind of want to move this forward so they don't have to have a lot of travel distance. But yeah, now we go for a market to kind of stabilize and go for a very, very fast castle age. I'm using the stone and the gold. I'm trading the stone to just quickly get a wall up here and a wall down here, just to make sure that we have some sort of defense. And at this point in time, I actually expected the cavalry to also start rolling in, but they didn't. So I'm like, okay, cool. If you're not gonna play aggressive onto us, let's go straight forward for a wall in. So we wall the enemy in right here, so we can actually get access to all of this resources without having a fear of him rushing us. Okay, so with this specific map, it's called Confluence. I just want to show you guys like a little small tip here. These little stealth forests right here, here, and here are very dangerous because what can happen is you just build a little dock right here. You take a transport ship, transport all of your enemy or your cavalry or infantry right here, build a few rams, and then now you're inside the enemy base, even though this is walled off, right? So just be careful of these stealth forests. I think it's a very good call to just get an early little outpost like you see right here up, so you can see any forward movement from these docks, and if you can get maybe a castle or a keep up here to assist you with defending any transport ships that rushes, that will help you severely as well. So we get that up. We have the wall up here. The boats can obviously still move forward and backwards past the wall because we're not walling across like this. So if you wall from this point to that point, you can stop the boats from accessing this food here at the back. But you know that's not the primary goal right now. We are going into the castle age very shortly because we're looking for the 1,200 food and 600 gold. At the same time, we still haven't had any upgrades on our military buildings. And another thing that I like personally doing is getting, if I want to use wood, for army, I'd rather place a mill very close to these shoreline fish, so I can then have all those villagers gathering shoreline fish, and it's, still very effective without having to invest wood into farms or anything like that. So we speed build this cathedral because I want to use the prelates to get this gold of these relics out. And that's the most important thing right now. So a bit of idle time on these villagers, but I'm focusing on getting some prelates out. You can see there's the villagers coming out. We took the prelate out of the Archon Cathedral to send it forward, and training some more villagers. So you can see the inspiration is not happening right now. There's 4, 5, 6 idle villagers, which is not good. But at the same time, all we're trying to do is using the scout and one villager, literally even an archer would be enough. I want these relics because the relics in the Redmond Cathedral is going to produce that gold we want, so we don't have to worry too much about gold. And we have the third one that just picked up the relic right there, so we're sitting on 1, 2, 3 relics that's already back. Now what you can do, and I think that's a mistake on my side. You can see we immediately got, I think, 50 gold when you deposit it. You can see the 50 gold coming in there. Now it's going to probably be 100. Yep, there's the 100 gold, but it's 200 gold per minute, right? And now the third one's going to come in, and that's 300 gold per minute, 150, 150, but really, really nice. And that's, compared to what these 3 villages can do, I'm already on 800 gold. And we just finished building the Castle Age landmark. So the French did reach the Castle Age not very long after us. He probably boomed into it very hard. Let's go check. So he has 9 villagers on gold. He went for the Royal Institute, which is probably not the best one. You can probably go for the Guild Hall in long games like this because you're going to need that gold later on. But you can see he's only getting about 210 gold per minute, and that's with 11 villagers on gold, right? Just with our few villagers on gold, we're getting 1,082 gold per minute, and that's because of these relics that we have. And it's unbelievable how big of an economy lead those relics gives you with this Rednitz Cathedral. You can see the gold income there. I'm sitting on 2,600 gold that I can reinvest into military. I can use that to buy food and quickly go to Imperial Age. So this is where the Holy Roman Empire really starts shining. And you can see I don't even have a prelate in this Archon Chapel. We're just going to make sure that we get all these relics on the map. So there's one up here as far as I know, and now we're capturing the sacred sites. You get extra for the sacred sites as well. So we did pick up that relic, and we're ready to go into the Imperial Age. We build a monastery to bring back these relics, but as I think the right thing would have been to take this relic and actually build a little outpost or a keep and town or your town center and put it inside the town center, right? So now we're sitting on 2 town centers and this monastery. Then we go into the Imperial Age with Palace of Swabia, and just look at the production speed of these villages right here. Unbelievable. 12 food for a villager. You can just pump out villagers at an unbelievable speed. The enemy is sitting on 87 villagers. We're sitting on 65 villagers, so we're behind on villagers, but we're already in the Imperial Age with you know, the sacred site that we have right here. I think there's a second sacred site right here, and now we can start, you know, producing military units. We went for more of a defensive style here. I didn't want him to drop off any military on my doorstep, and then I have nothing to defend this. So we go forward with two towers here on the top, and then we give them the cannon emplacement upgrades, so we can actually harass these boats, fishing boats, quite effectively. You can see the upgrades are going to come in. Excuse me, I have a bit of a hiccup thing going on. But yeah, there we go. So the cannon upgrades going in, we have the stonewall tower going up, and that's just to deny him this forward food that he's getting from all these fishing boats. And if we look at his side again, you know, he has the very aggressive gold farm right here because he can't access the site. So if I did the same right here, I would have forced him to, you know, look at alternative sources of gold. Probably had him raid me a lot earlier, and at this point we didn't have any military to counter this, right? So you can see from his perspective, yes, he's sitting on heavy gold, but he's still not even close. 1,100 gold per minute, and we're sitting on 2,300 gold per minute. So virtually double with half the amount of villagers. So here's a really nice army starting to build up. We captured the sacred site again. Actually, that's his sacred site. We just denied it. So he has the double sacred site. We have a double sacred site. So we're trickling in that gold, but we don't have necessarily any military coming in. So I knew he can raid this, and immediately I can start training military. But I'm just pumping out villagers right there. So 102. You know, we're using the double town center to assist with producing some more villagers and reinvesting into every single upgrade we can think of. You can see here getting the elite men at arms upgrade, sitting on 7 barracks is there, getting that last little relic coming in, so we're going to increase our gold income even more now. We get the elite army tactic upgrades for that extra damage. We have blacksmiths, we're starting to get all of those upgrades. You know, I'm very, very late on the army here because he played super defensive for a French player. But right now, all we're doing is using this gold to give us any advantage we can and give us as much gold as possible. I think if these, you know, those extra 2 relics that I had here, if they were in the town centers, they would have produced even more gold. But it says here 200 gold per minute that you get from those 2 relics. I wonder why the max is 20. I think that's probably because of other type of maps like team maps where you can have more than 5 relics. But yeah, so we go for forward stables here, and you can see we just go into elite knights because I know that's probably one of the strongest and highest HP units to raid and be just very aggressive. And we know we have the strong food advantage and gold advantage, selling any stone and wood to just keep producing these elite knights, and at the same time we're just using the barracks to stop any forward fighting here. But remember this little army, we had a very small army here. You can see from how much units that I got, we're sitting on 8 veteran spearmen and 13 elite men-at-arms, right? So they are fully upgraded and they still getting the blacksmith upgrades, but look how they just slice through the enemies, because these aren't heavy units, but the men-at-arms are 216 health with the 6 ranged armor. So 10 damage of the archer, it's going to be 4 damage if you minus the 6. So very big army that we have right here, very dangerous army because it's all men-at-arms, and Spearman is supposed to counter his Royal Knights, veteran Royal Knights, because they're a bit strong. So he's on 310 health, 6 armors, 7 ranged armor, 39 damage. Our elite knight are 44 attack. They have 6 armor, 6 ranged armor, and 324 health. But that's just because we're in a higher age. We did the upgrade, and we also have all these the extra cavalry HP upgrade that we have in your university. So, just raiding consistently with these elite knights, we just keep them training, keep training them, and while they're training, we just force rush into his base, force his army to, pick fights with these upgraded units. And at the same time, if these units die, we just send in the next squad and just repeat that until he basically starves himself of resources. Because we know with 2,500 gold per minute and 2,000 gold per minute, we are going to keep up the production of these horsemen. And at the same time, I was scared he's going to rush this front side, so we built the keep. We don't even have the keep upgrades here. We have the forward towers to defend any boats coming at us. And I thought we would lose this fight because we have mangonels on his side to do very high damage. So just look at the health drop. He has 4 mangonels, right? So I'm splitting my horses so I don't take that initial blunt of AOE damage from these mangonels on all my horses, right? But I'm sending forward these horsemen on the right. I put the spearmen to the field, getting all these villagers on the food to and I can't get through here because of these villagers, but look how quickly those mangonels are just shredding through my elite men at arms. Sorry, elite knights, the heavy cavalry, because these mangonels are sitting there. So that was a huge weapon for myself. So we're rushing to get this keep up because that's the only defense we have right now. And there was just a few spearmen and mangonel that won the fight. But because we know we have all this economy advantage, suddenly we have third cavalry rushing in again, just changing the speed of the fight because from his side, how is he going to keep up with that unit production with 5 barracks and, very, very low food and so on because we just raided the previous rush with that. So now we're going in for a kill here, just getting rid of all these mangonels. We'll go for a broad view here. Again, another 20 or 15 elite knights coming in there. And at this point it's GG, guys, because you can see how high of an economy lead we have because of these relics, because of the Archon Chapel, because of the Regnitz Cathedral, and then into the Palace of Swabia. Those 3 landmarks as the Holy Roman Empire with these elite forces are really, really tough to deal with. So I hope you guys try that. I hope you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed the video, please do leave a like and subscribe, and we'll keep making more videos. My voice was a little bit flaky, I would say, because of the hiccups and so on. I do apologize for that. But thank you very much for watching, and if you watched all this way, you are a true fan. I really appreciate it. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.